So just to introduce our speaker tonight, it's easy to think that nature is somewhere else, that it's far from home, it's in the Rocky Mountains, it's on the coast, it's in Door County. But the genius of Olmsted and what makes Riverside unique and beautiful is that his design incorporates nature, so it brings nature close to home. 40% of our town is public land, either as parkland or in a more natural state. The town is a certified arboretum. So, excuse me, in this natural environment, there's a diverse variety of plant, bird, and animal life. And Valerie Jisa, through her walks in photography, is someone who appreciates that and has realized it. And she is here to share her photography and her experiences as a naturalist, as a birder, and as a nature photographer. She is a Riverside resident. She's a busy parent and softball coach at Fenwick. She's, as I said, self-taught naturalist, birder, and nature photographer, and has led bird walks in town. She's a frequent contributor to the Riverside Nature Network, and so that's how we became aware of her talents through her contributions to the Riverside Nature Network Facebook page. This is her first time presenting. We've had many talented, knowledgeable presenters who've come with the same slideshow that they give at a dozen other libraries and community groups. But Valerie has created something unique just for us.
Just for today.
And it was a tremendous effort, curating and sorting through slides, selecting only the best among many beautiful pictures, I have no doubt, and organizing this and presenting it tonight. So please welcome Valerie Jisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate all the people that were before me up here talking about the Olmsted Society and all the contributions that you guys do and all the efforts and volunteer work that you do to make our landscape in town so beautiful. Right whenever, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, when you guys were talking about the restoration of Riverside Road and Indian Gardens, I see that firsthand because I'm outside every day. So whether it's rain, snow, blistering heat, I have all the equipment and gear to protect my camera and to protect myself from the elements, and I really do appreciate all of your hard work and efforts doing that, and I really appreciate it even more now that I've sat through one of these meetings that I've never been to see how much work you guys really do put into it. So thank you for doing that. And thank you to the Olmsted Society for extending the invitation to allow me to be a speaker. I am honored. I feel like that's pretty good. I'm honored. You guys can hear me, right? Yes. All right, it's better. I'm incredibly honored to be here, and I'm also humbled to be a part of such a beautiful community and a community that I've even become closer with through Olmsted's vision and being around the open shared spaces that we have. So thank you so much, and thank you for my friends that came to support me tonight. I know it is an extremely cold night outside, and I am very thankful that you guys came to support me on a Friday night, and you chose to spend your time here with me and with all of these wonderful people that are part of the Olmsted Society. Like Dan was saying, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Valerie Jisa, and I've been a Riverside resident since 2010. That's when I moved here with my husband, Wendell. My husband, Wendell, and his family, my mother-in-law, Judy, is here, and my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my nieces and my parents came in from Texas to be a part of this because they know how much time and energy and love I put into this. It's really, truly a labor of love, and I'm very excited to share it with you. I was going to also add that my mother-in-law just told me that my father-in-law, who passed, I think 27 years ago, he was the president of the Olmsted Society for a couple of years back in the day. So I have some sort of ties to it, and now I have even deeper ties. So I'm proud to say that about Wendell, Big Wendell, Big Wendell, because I have another Wendell in the audience as well. Also, the clock outside this, the town hall was actually gifted by my mother-in-law's family way back in the day. I don't know the exact date, but so it's a beautiful homage and legacy that I'm very proud to be a part of. My kids are actually 8th generation Riversiders, and so I definitely married into a beautiful and solid Riverside family, and I'm very lucky to call Riverside my home. For the last 3 years, I have unintentionally carved out my own special bond and unique identity in this historical town through adventuring outdoors in all of the wonderful green spaces that Olmsted envisioned for our community. I'm so lucky, like I said, to call Riverside my home, and I share the same love and gratitude as everyone in this room tonight. Again, I truly appreciate you being here, and I hope that you guys enjoy just my little journey that brought me here tonight, and the visual presentation that I will share with you. So without further ado, I am humbled to be here, and I wanted to just announce the title of what I'm sharing, which is the natural beauty that surrounds us. I truly, like I said, created a labor of love unintentionally. It just kind of found me, and I'm forever grateful for it. But it is really, truly to inspire adventure outside, gratitude, and wonder. And that's something that I've learned in the past 3 years, is tremendous curiosity and wonder. I wanted to start out the presentation with, I'm actually going to just bring this up here. Oops. With a quote. I haven't done this since my 7th grade speech for vice president, which I did win, so hopefully this continues to go well. I wanted to open up with this nature quote that my friend and I found that I truly believe in, and I hope to get to the Muir Woods one day. It's on my bucket list among many other bucket lists, but it says, "In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks." And I truly believe that. I truly believe that anytime I go outside and see anything that I consider beautiful, which is a lot, I find beauty in the people that I meet. Even if they're difficult people, I look for the silver lining in them. I look for something that I can latch on to appreciate, because that's where I feel like common ground can be really, you know, it could really bind you, and in such a, I hate to say, polarizing time, you know, it really kind of sets the tone to find commonalities and shared interests, and you can build from there. The other quote I wanted to share, and I love this one a lot, is, "In nature, nothing is perfect, and everything is perfect. Trees can be contorted, bent in weird ways, and they're still beautiful." And that was a quote by Alice Walker. I like to joke around with my 9-year-old son, Wendell. I always say, "Gosh, you're so perfect. You're just so perfect." And he's like, "Mom, I'm not. Nobody's perfect." And that's the wisdom that you learn from children. And I'm like, "You're right, but I like to say this, and I like to say this to my my athletes, my student athletes, you're perfectly imperfect, basically. So in your own way, you're perfectly imperfect. And I find that in nature, and I love the trees that are distorted, and the things that make them unique, all the knobs and all the intricacies and the things that I see when I'm out walking in Riverside's landscape. So I wanted to start by saying I'm not from here. Like I said, I moved here in 2010, And I grew up in Oklahoma for 8 years, and then the rest I spent in Texas, growing up there. I went to high school in Texas. I went to the University of Texas in Austin. Loved being in Texas, missed Texas, but I also truly love being here in Riverside. This is a picture of my sisters and I and the Muscovy ducks that just kind of roamed around in our backyard. We always lived in these awesome places where we had amazing backyards and a lot of acreage, and just, you know, we've always been outdoors. And my grandmother is there, and my mom, and here's us just out at the beach. My mom was really good at getting us outdoors and exploring and adventuring and just using our imaginations and being kids. You know, we didn't have, obviously, iPads and all that stuff. So, but growing up in Oklahoma, we lived by a creek, and so I would always explore the creek with my best friends and my sisters, and, well, not my oldest sister. She's a little different. We're all different, perfectly imperfect. And so I got really into crawdad hunting. That's what we call it down in Oklahoma, is crawdads. And up here we call it crayfish hunting. So we would search for crawdads when the creek would surge, and then go back down, and we could, you know, check under rocks and find them, and we got really good at it, and I got really good at it. So I found a little love for that. And also growing up in Texas, well, and Oklahoma, there's a lot of venomous snakes there. And, you know, we have a lake house in Cedar Creek in Texas, so we would always be on the lookout for water moccasins or any venomous snakes that just, you know, you just don't want to get bit by one of those. So I was fascinated by snakes, and so coming here, I would always look for snakes here. But it was amazing because my sister Diane and I used to swim outside all day in our pool, and we would pretend that we were. I'm just going to get rid of this. That we were. Oh my gosh! How do I turn this off? Judy, can you turn this off? And now I look way younger than I'm 40. We would spend all of our time outside in the pool and pretend that we were Bud and Sandy from that show Flipper. I don't know if you guys remember watching Flipper, but we would always pretend we were Bud and Sandy, and then after it would rain and storm and the streets would flood, we would bring out our Legos and our figurines, and we would let the, you know, like the little boats go down the flooded, the curbs and the side of the streets. And that was always really fun. It's a very imprinted memory in my mind. And also we owned a Honda moped that my parents would let us drive it around the neighborhood and explore. And I was about 11 or 12 then. So, I mean, driving a moped, that's definitely illegal. But it was very fun, and that's the beauty of growing up in the 80s and the 90s, is that, you know, you kind of explored and you did things and you used your imagination, and so I'm forever grateful about that. My parents are actually here with me today. They're in the front row. They came to support me, so I'm very thankful that they made the trip up here in the blistering cold to be here. So thank you for a wonderful childhood. It was beautiful. So moving on to Riverside, when I moved here, I continued the outdoors curiosity. You know, I would always be down. We lived on Fairbank Road for 10 years, and right across from the Swan Pond and the Swan Pond River Path. So my kids grew up going down to Swan Pond. There's my little daughter Judy, who's now 11. And then there's my nephew Louie and Judy, and then there's my little cutie Wendell, you know, crayfish hunting, buckets for crayfish hunting. I mean, we were down there for hours, days, and it was probably the best escape and the best way for them to just learn about Riverside and the beauty of Riverside here. You can see more. We've got, every time it would flood down in Swan Pond, you know, where other people would be like, oh, you know, we can't go down there, it's flooded. we do live on a floodplain. So I love to remind people that, it is going to happen, that we live here in a floodplain. But that's whenever I would find all the snakes and we would explore. And, I didn't know that carp were invasive species, and I saved maybe like 20. They were this big, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I regret it because everyone was like, those are invasive, and how could you do that? And I didn't know. I just thought, oh my gosh, they're stuck on this side of the river and Swan Pond, and they can't get back over. It was hilarious. I'm surprised I didn't get pink eye from all the splishing and splashing that they did when I tried to grab them to move them. And see, here's us again. My youngest is actually, I'm pregnant with my youngest, but we just loved going down there to adventure. And here, even my nieces that are here tonight as well, they would go down there. We'd spend so much time down there. Here's them as little girls. They're so cute. And now they're just a little older, and now one's at Ignatius and one's at Fenwick. So this was just a little, blast from the past. Every time my parents would visit, we would take them down to Swan Pond, and we would go walking around Riverside. Everything that Olmsted intended this community to be, that's what we did. And that was before I even knew. I knew Olmsted, designed this community, and I knew he designed Central Park, and I knew he was a brilliant landscape architect. But what I didn't know at the time is that I was really living what he wanted the town to be. And looking back now, after everything that I've discovered, I cherish that I did that without kind of doing it on purpose. And there's my little buddy Wendell with his best friend Ben. His mom's here tonight. I take all the boys down there. We go crayfish hunting. Some are really good, some are really not focused. And it's hilarious to watch them discover this new little hobby. We catch and release all. So the adventure and the hunt is kind of the highlight for us. Now my son's into fishing as well, and has met some other young boys in town that love fishing and that have taught him some things and teach us about the different kinds of fish, because I don't know anything about fish. But that's what this whole thing is I'm constantly learning about all the different flora and fauna that live in Riverside or visit Riverside and that surround us. See more. I mean, we were just down there all the time. There's a crayfish right there, one of his catches. And there's actually Erin Wieland, who's on the board, and her daughter latched on. We invited her to go crayfish hunting, and they were down there for 3 hours one day, just the two of them. And they have an age difference, but that's the beauty of it, is it spans all ages, and everybody can be interested in exploring and in finding things. And they had such a great time doing it. So I loved that we were able to do that. This is one of my little buddies that was on one of my first bird walks. His name's Gavin. And he loves birds. And we've been on 3 bird walks, just the two of us together. He rides his bike and meets me at the library, and we go on walks and we talk. And he's a really special kid, and I love that I could share that time with him. And here's me with some of the Girl Scouts. I've led a lot of Girl Scout walks for their badges, and that's us actually in the Indian Gardens path. We start out at the Scout cabin, and then we make our way down along the river through the Indian Gardens path, past the Hoffman Dam, and then we end at the library. So, hit or miss. Hopefully I see a bunny, something that's gonna catch their interest, a nest, something cute. Otherwise, they're kind of, just kicking sticks and stuff. But just to get them out there, to just see that you can look for things and you'll find stuff. So I love leading these walks. They're fun for me and they're fun for them. I don't find much like I do when I'm alone, but it's still fun to teach them about what's around. Oh, there's this is my birding mentor, my birding and photography mentor, but mostly photography mentor, Bethany Smolarek, who's also here tonight. We have so much fun. During migration, she's the only person I will wake up before 7 a.m. to meet at Indian Gardens so we can go and find some of the best birds, and we find amazing birds. Our friendship has just blossomed, and we are There's just something about nature that there's a nice distraction around you, but it also is conducive to having conversations with people. That you don't have to have small talk. You talk about specific things that you see or what you hear. And so I really cherish my relationship with Bethany. So this is kind of where it all started, was I was posting pictures of snakes a lot that I would find down when I was there with my son on the Riverside, Illinois page. And I mean, I couldn't believe how many people in town that said, oh, I've lived here 40 years and I've never seen a snake here. I've lived here, so long, or where are these snakes? Are they venomous? And mostly all the snakes here are garter snakes and northern non-venomous water snakes. So you won't find any venomous snakes until you get a little more southern in Illinois. But this is the kind of stuff that I started out loving to do. I just shared it on the Riverside, Illinois page, and people loved it. And again, it was without intention or without expectation, or I didn't need anything in return. I just wanted to share it. So then eventually that led me, I had also, as you can see here, I would find a bunch of treasures, and I found snake skins, and I would leave them on a rock where anybody else that's going down the Swan Pond path, or kids, when they came across it, they'd be like, oh, cool, look what I found. Just making it easier for them, but for them to appreciate it. I love to leave things behind so that people can see it and appreciate it themselves. So then from the Riverside, Illinois page, I was introduced to the Riverside Nature Network page. Didn't know anything about it. They said, oh, you like to post snakes. Why don't you post your snakes on the Riverside Nature Network? I think that they might get a kick out of it. So I joined this group, and the group was started by two very heart-invested residents, Jill Mateo and Ben Sells. Jill Mateo is a trustee right now, who's become a very good friend of mine, and Ben Sells was the president for 10 years, as a lot of you guys know. But they started this Facebook page so that everybody could share the flora and the fauna that they see when they go outside. You don't even have to have a picture, just share your sightings, because it's a really special time to be able to do that whenever there's a lot of people that can't get outside. There's a lot of people that work during the day that can't get outside and during the daylight hours. So it's just an opportunity to showcase, what's around us. Everything that I'm going to show you in here, I've seen in Riverside. It's been in Riverside, whether it's migratory, or they live here year round. Everything that you'll see has been spotted in Riverside. And I also wanted to say that as many of you guys have mentioned before, and in many presentations that have been before me, Frederick Olmsted's vision for Riverside was to encourage exploration of self and community, and through nature in our shared outdoor spaces. Like I said before, I greatly admire and respect the Olmsted Society for their endless efforts and passion to preserve this vision, because this is truly what makes Riverside, Illinois, the special little village in the forest and a historical landmark. And like another speaker mentioned, we're worldwide. So we're, and we were on that the 10 greatest towns in America, that PBS special. It's a very special place that we live in. But my love and awareness for Riverside's wildlife and beauty expanded one day during one of my daily adventure walks. I was just walking along. I had my headphones in, wasn't really looking for anything, but I saw this little bird, and I was on the street, but I saw it from the street right on Coonley and Fairbank Road, and I took a snapshot with my iPhone, and I posted it to the Riverside Nature Network. And after I did that, I quickly got a response, and I learned that I had just spotted a rare migratory species that shows up in Riverside during spring and fall migration, but it doesn't live here year-round. Oh, and that's about Olmsted. And that is this little guy right here. See, these are my phone pics. This is how it all started, was phone pics. And this little guy is a black-throated blue warbler. this black-throated blue warbler basically just became my spark bird. So in the birding community, they like to call the bird that sparks you into birding. And this little guy was the whole reason why this whole thing has started. And for really avid birders and birders who have, checklists, this guy's very special to them. So immediately they were asking me, where did you see it? Where was it? We've been looking for that bird. We want to go see it. So that's why on the Riverside Nature Network, we always ask for a location and a possible ID. And if you don't know, just ask. You don't have to put the location. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But it's just for those avid birders that I was not before to go out and find that because they want to see it. Because this bird stays here in the spring for maybe 3 weeks. And then it leaves. It goes up to Canada, and it doesn't come back into the fall. And it looks the same here. A lot of the other birds do not look the same because they're not in their breeding plumage. But so it was kind of exciting to see this bird that everybody wanted to see. And I was like, whoa, okay. So it kind of opened my mind a little bit about birds. But the funny thing about this whole thing is that right before I saw this bird, Ben and Jill and Steve and Melinda Pruitt-Jones. Steve Pruitt-Jones is a very, very intelligent ornithologist who leads also bird walks in town, and he was at the University of Chicago. He's no longer living in Riverside. They left to San Francisco to greener pastures. And brilliant man who has a lot of he's written many books on the monk parakeets, and his knowledge is, honestly, it's mind-blowing how much he knows and how much I've learned from him and his wife, Melinda Pruitt-Jones. They're very special people. But the ironic part is that they were posting these posts on the Riverside Nature Network every day, and it was the bird of the day, and it told you what the bird was, and it told you little ID markers about the bird, and kind of what makes them special. I would just scroll past that. I was like, boring. Just scroll past it, and I could have learned a lot from that. And now I say, look at me now. I love birds, and I love more than just birds, but I just really threw myself into it and ended up learning kind of at my own pace and I guess in my own way. Without, with those posts, they would have been very beneficial. But I kind of liked the way that I learned. So then I knew that the spring migration, at that point in time, it was spring of 2020, and the spring migration had just ended, so I had to wait until the fall for these birds to come back. But I also didn't know that they were going to be completely different looking. So they're going to be duller, they're not going to be in their breeding plumage, to find a mate. And so that's an even harder part about birding. And they say, like, when you can identify birds in the fall, in their fall plumage, and their dull plumage, and you can identify female birds, because we all know that the males are the bright, vibrant ones that need to attract the female, and the female birds need to be more camouflaged for protection and to survival for their babies. So I didn't know that I was going to be in for a little bit of a shock with the differences in the way that the birds looked. But I will say, actually, every year, well, it's only been, I guess, 4 years, 3 or 4 years, that spring migration, fall migration came around. I've seen a black-throated blue warbler every single migration. And so I really feel like not only is it a spark bird, it's kind of a spirit bird. So I love that, and I'm very lucky to find it every time one of them comes around. So I started going on these walks. It was during the pandemic, so I was kind of escaping a little bit of that life at home, 3 kids under the age of 10 and schooling at home, and just, my husband was working from home, so it was just a lot, cabin fever, everybody had cabin fever. So I would just escape out into the wooded areas, and I started asking Jill Mateo if she would accompany me on these bird walks, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to surround myself with really knowledgeable people because that's the way that I'm going to learn. And, she was hesitant at first, but she graciously said yes. And I asked her to go on these bird walks during times where she knew there was nothing to be seen. She's kind of an eBird bar chart expert. So, citizen scientists like me and anybody else that reports to eBird of what they see, they create these bar charts of when certain birds start coming in, whether it's at the beginning of March or they start coming in the middle of May, or they stay until late November. So she knows all of this stuff. So she knew there was nothing we were going to be seeing, but she still said yes, and I think it's really adorable that she said yes. And I would continue to ask her a lot of questions, and I always told her I'm kind of like the little kid from Jurassic Park. That was this is the original Jurassic Park, which I used to watch every Saturday as a kid. And, he's the little kid that's always asking, well, why does it do this? And, well, I read that, this does this, and this dinosaur does that. And the scientists are just, oh my gosh, their patience with this little kid, he's just so curious, but why? And so I always joked that I was like the little kid and she was the scientist. And she really did just teach me a lot. And we saw things, actually, that she normally wouldn't have seen, because I do have younger eyes, not to, she's going to hate that. But we just had a great time going out, and we got to know each other, and I thought that was a beautiful thing as well. But yeah, she had tremendous patience with me. And likewise, my photography mentor, Bethany Smolarek, that's here, also said that I remind her of this kid, the little Boy Scout from the movie Up, because I am always equipped with everything I might need, binoculars, lots of snacks. I'm always snacking, always, I think on here, no, it's the dog that says squirrel, but that's kind of me. I see something, I look for movement, and it catches my eye. My senses are acute, and so I'm always like this, and I don't mind it. I love, I love making other people have a laugh at my expense. That's fine with me. But yeah, so I had no idea that I would love this so much. And then right around Christmas of 2020, if you guys are a part of the Riverside Nature Network, and if you were at that time, Jill and her husband Ben, they proposed the Riverside Nature Network group that we try as a community for a big year. I had no idea what a big year was, and much less how to do one. But I learned very quickly it was counting bird species in one area. So in Riverside proper, we couldn't count any species on the other side of the swinging bridge because that wasn't in the boundaries. I got really mad about that, and I was like, but why, Jill? Why can't we count those? I see so many birds over there. She was like, well, it's got to be in Riverside proper to be a Riverside big year list. So I was excited about this new venture. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt for bird species, so it sounded very fun. I'm really competitive. Like I said, I'm a high school softball coach, and I'm very observant, so I was all in. And before that, they had suggested, Ben and Jill suggested, hey, if you get a chance, watch that movie. It's a 2011 movie called The Big Year, and that's starring Steve Martin, Owen Wilson, and Jack Black, and it's hilarious. It's kind of a satire on the birding world, and it just kind of shows the inner workings of a little bit why we're quirky and why we got to go see that bird because it's going to leave. And for people who are counting birds, it's really important because you will not see that bird if you don't get it. So that's something I recommend watching with your family. It's a family-friendly comedy, and it's really funny. But once the big year started in January of 2021. It was still a month away from the coldest part of our Midwest winter, and I knew it was really going to stink for me as a transplanted Texan. And before then, I really hadn't dressed appropriately for the Midwest winters. I don't know why. I don't know if it was just vanity or whatever it was, but once I got myself a solid pair of snow pants, which I wear every day, like from now until it stops being cold, snow pants. I have my favorite balaclava from the gas station on Ogden. It's $10, and I buy it every year. I have about 20 of them, but it is the warmest thing, and I will be out in negative 11-degree temperature looking for things like owls or, birds and waterfowl or things like that. But it saved me, and it also taught me just dress appropriately for the weather. You're a Midwesterner now, all right? So there wasn't very much to see in the beginning, but like I said, it didn't stop me. But I also used that time, that slower time, to learn more about the different species that I might see come spring and summer, and then back in fall. So I kind of studied this stuff just for fun. I don't know why. I was like, once I started seeing things, I wanted to know the differences. Sparrows can be very hard to differentiate from each other. And just this little cartoon illustration really shows you just ID markers that help you when you're out in the field. And honestly, I mastered sparrows. I love sparrows. I know that they're just little brown birds, but to me they're very special. All the birds are special, to be honest. All the critters too. So I did that, and here's a real picture of what they look like. But it's the one before that really shows you the eye stripes or the different colors. See the different colors in the bills: pink bill, two-tone bill, but a different line through it. I mean, it's crazy the detail that makes them different, but they are all different and special. So on, I was basically realizing that learning. As the weather got warmer, the sightings got better. And so I was really learning in real time. Like, it was real time learning for me just by doing, by observing, by getting out there, by looking, by opening my eyes. And I was totally stoked about it, and I was totally hooked. I was like, what am I gonna find next for the big year list? What can I add to the list? I saw a couple of first things, and I saw greater yellowlegs that hadn't been spotted here in many, many years. So I was very proud of that. It just gave me a little extra oomph to keep going. But on Mother's Day of 2021, they asked me to help lead my very first bird walk in town. And that was with Jill Mateo, Ben Sells, Steve and Melinda Pruitt-Jones, and Bethany Smolarek. And I love to say that the beauty and brilliance of these individuals combined and alone is literally one of superheroes. Like, their knowledge is expansive, and they all have very special talents and unique, tidbits and factoids. And I love it when they share it with. I actually wanted to be on Melinda Pruitt-Jones's bird walk because I wanted to learn from her instead of leading my own bird walk. But I was excited to lead my first bird walk. I was a little nervous. And I thought it would be funny because I like to be a little bit of a jokester. I thought it'd be funny when everybody showed up before everybody else, like the other bird walk leaders, were there. I'd be like, all right, let's do our stretches. Let's stretch out our neck. Let's do this. So they'd be like, wow, what is this clown doing? But honestly, you really kind of do have to stretch out your neck, because there is a thing called warbler neck, because you're looking up so much that your neck really starts to hurt. So I thought that my joke would be funny, but it's actually true. You do kind of need to stretch for the really non-sporty event of birding. So here I am with my first group of bird participants. That's Gavin, the little boy that I continued my bird walks with after this, and his mom. We've established a good relationship. And see, I printed out some of those, some of the sheets that I learned from, so I could show them what the things to look for. I was excited to share. I was excited to find stuff and to show them and to see what we could see together. But until that moment, all my pictures. And see, there's me and Jill and Bethany, just a little trio. We like to say that. Bethany is Owen Wilson from The Big Year, because she's like the master. And then Jill has to be Steve Martin. And I'm Jack Black, the little bit of the immature clown with all the snacks. That's what I like to consider. But before I went on this bird walk, Bethany came over to me and she said, look, she goes, you see way too many cool birds to keep taking them with your cracked iPhone. sharing them. Please do me a favor and borrow my other camera. She's got a big camera and she's got a little camera we call a kid sister camera that she lets her kids play with. She takes it family trips, that kind of thing. So she was like, please just take this. No more of your iPhone pics if you're gonna really get into this. And it was beautiful. She handed it to me. The settings were preset, and she looked at me and she said, "Have fun." And I've never looked back since. So I've had my own camera that was just similar to hers, and now I have a big camera, like paparazzi camera. So it's definitely, I guess, like somebody had said, it's a slippery slope. And yeah, so now I'm hooked. But to me, this fellowship of Riverside Nature Network members, it felt like something bigger than it was. We, like I said before, we established a common ground, and we shared it with the community. And it's a shared love and appreciation that it spans all ages, all demographics, all people from home, people with completely different political backgrounds or ideas, and it just brings you back to the bigger picture in life, which is just appreciating beauty and appreciating each other and finding that common ground with one another. It basically, to me, it is love. Like, that is what it is sharing. Sharing is love. But again, I had no idea that I needed any of this in my life until they showed up. I'm immensely grateful for the curiosity and openness this lifelong hobby has now given me. And as you can see, this was indigo bunting, but it's taken with my phone pic. But to me, I loved this picture. I was so proud to post this on the Riverside Nature Network. I was like, I saw an indigo bunting. I'm going to post this. And again, I want people to post their phone pics. I want people to post their observations of what they see. They don't even have to post a picture. But to me, this was awesome. I was like, yes, I saw an indigo bunting. And I saw a scarlet tanager, with my iPhone. And again, this bird is really far, and my iPhone picked it up somehow. And I can't imagine doing it now because I've tried it, and it's just now once you've got the good camera, it's hard to go back. So yeah, this is a garter snake that was in the tree, took it with my iPhone. Again, a bald eagle, I took it with my iPhone. But I loved it, I was like, this is a bald eagle, and I saw it, and I got it with my iPhone, and it's here in Riverside. Like, how special is that? They're so majestic. And there's my greater yellow legs. This guy, I had to run it by Steve Pruitt-Jones. I had to record it to get the movements, just to prove, and I reported it to the little citizen scientist thing that I do on eBird. But that was really special. That was the first time a greater yellow legs had been seen in Riverside in a very long time. And me, a new birder, had just saw it. And I captured it with my iPhone. But, I loved it. I still love it, actually, because I love every moment, and I remember every moment that I've captured, and where I saw my first this or where I saw my first that. And after I started borrowing Bethany's camera, you can see, obviously, the quality got a little better. Still not great. Lighting's terrible. But it was starting to be, oh, okay, I'm kind of liking this. I'm really digging this. Better. We're getting better. I'm learning. Real-time learning. People learn in so many different ways, and I loved that I was just doing this on my own. And, I was kind of stubborn about it, but if I'd have an emergency, I'd call Bethany, and she'd, talk me through it, send me a picture of the screen, let me see what it says. And then this picture I took with her camera that I borrowed, and this was the picture that made me fall in love with photography. Like, I don't know what it is about. Just, the monotone, and then the beautiful antlers, and then the blurry background, but this sparked, I guess this was my spark photography moment. And after that, it just, it became a very ritualistic thing for me. And I've captured coyotes again, still not the best quality, but I was learning in real time. I had no idea what I was doing. I was literally just playing around with it. And then here you see the common grackle with a big crayfish. My son was not happy about that. He was like, that common grackle. But it was just so cool finding these and capturing these creatures. then things got a little better. Things got a little crisper for me. This little guy decided to make a home in one of the wood duck boxes. And then this was like right by the library. There's this beautiful, again, imperfectly perfect tree it's contorted like this, and there's all these knobs on top of it. So I always think that they're the squirrels, but this time they really were there. And there were so many of them, and I was like, oh, I got it, you know? And then this little guy was popping out of the knob hole. So anything that I see that I want to share, I capture it. I really just look for beautiful things. And it's all beautiful to me. So this here is Ben Sells and Jill. And because of a lot of awesome, whether you guys they were part of the Olmsted Society, or I'm not sure if the Riverside Nature Network was around at the time, but they were counting birds for 2 years so that they could report it to the Audubon Society to make Riverside an important, a designated important birding area. So you have to have a lot of species that come through, and you have to have reoccurring sightings. One of my friends actually was in here. She was part of that group. They had clipboards, and again, I was not even into birding at that. I would be like, what are you doing? Like, nerd. But again, look at me now. I love it so much, and I would never, I love people's facts and their curiosity and their research and things like that. And I love it more so now. But that was the unveiling of the important birding area sign. But the beauty of all of this is it led me into so many other things. Now I'm mushroom hunting. I mean, obviously this is the gold of all gold mushrooms, morels. I had no idea what a morel mushroom was. My friend who's here with me tonight asked me, Val, will you take me looking for morel mushrooms? I was like, mushrooms? Again, same thing with the birds. I was like, I don't know anything about mushrooms. So I joined a couple Facebook groups, Northern Illinois Mushroom Community, and it shows like when they start popping up. And people are obsessed. And I had no idea. I had no idea they were the gold, and I'm not gonna tell you where they are. You're gonna have to go find them yourself. But I know the landscape so well because I do the same routes, because I love to watch the trees change, the paths change after the storms, trees that fall down, just anything. I know where a lot of dead trees are. I know where a lot of trees and areas that these guys love to grow near. So I was like, all right, I got a couple of places in mind that I'll take you. I was like, we'll just try and see what happens. We went out there, and within 30 minutes, boom, we found our first morel. And I was so proud. I was like, oh my God, I'm a mushroom hunter now. I'm a mushroom forager. So after that, I've found many, many. So you got to get out there. Oh, there she is. That's my one of my besties, Jen Wipinowski. She's in the crowd. So yeah, she motivated me to get into mushrooms, and now I thank you for that, babe. I found so many. This is a very poisonous mushroom that I was touching, but again, if you don't ingest it and all that stuff, it's just fine. We've got turkey tail mushroom. We all know that it's so good for curing diseases or helping to cure diseases, and it has so many health benefits. And the turkey tail around here is amazing, amazing, especially when the chlorophyll starts to get over it and they turn really green and vibrant. But even dead turkey tail is beautiful. And this one happened to be after a rainy day, so the saturation was just so pretty. This is a huge dead log with so many big, this size, chicken of the woods. And people forage chicken of the woods, and they make it. And they say once you saute it and get the moisture out of it, it tastes like chicken. So fortunately for mushroom foragers, my family doesn't like to eat mushrooms except me, so I just leave them for everybody else to find. And then with the morels, I'll give them to people who really cherish them, that want to saute them, cook them, like Aaron Whelan. We also go mushroom hunting together. But I usually leave them behind. And if you do find mushrooms like a morel, I also like to leave like 1 or 2 behind so that other people can get that same excitement, be like, oh, I found one, even if it's just 1 or 2. You leave some behind. So there's our little sign, important bird area. It's right there when you enter Swan Pond. And there's also one when you start your walk on Riverside Road. It's another thing besides being a historical landmark community that makes Riverside special. Like, we are an important birding area designated by the Audubon Society, the National Audubon Society, and that's really cool. I wanted to say that just, you know, with all the walking around, like I said, it became a daily ritual just to go out and walk the same paths and to see the things change, and that's kind of when I started to notice everything around me. So I started noticing the animals and all the sounds and all the changing colors in the trees and all the different textures and all the different heights in the trees. There's so many beautiful tall trees here. Mike Collins and some other Riverside members, they created a tree map, so you can actually find these trees, some of the tallest trees in Riverside, if you wanted to go on that nature hunt as well. All the nests, all the different kinds of nests, you know, like a Baltimore Orioles nest that you'll see in my highlight reel. You know, it's like a sack, it's like a ball, and the female just weaves it together, and it weathers the biggest storms, and they're absolutely beautiful creations. And I love, that's something I love to do in the winter because all the leaves are gone and you can kind of go around, and so I count like all the Oriole nests that have been left behind. And I counted 10 at one time just in the first division. But yeah, all the changes in the landscape from one storm or season to the next. A lot of times after the storms, a lot of buildup happens in the rivers, and that's where a lot of birds like to hang out. A lot of cool birds. I saw my first mourning warbler there, and that's kind of where they like to hang out. And a lot of animals love to hide in there, and the muskrats and the beavers. So it's really special when you watch the landscape change, because that's when you really get a true sense of the landscape and the feel of it. So it was all of the beauty, all of it. Like a return to childhood, like I said before, when I'd always be outside, everything around me just seemed so new and so beautiful and so interesting. And all I wanted to do was share it, and to share it with everyone here. I like to joke and poke fun at myself with my friends that I am similar to a metaphorical town cat, that I like to bring back my visual treasures to show like what I found today. You know, like, look at my mouse I found, you know, here's a dead squirrel for you. So for 3 years, my daily walks became a personal ritual, and it was a meditation of sorts. And what I really love about it all, and it's the most amazing part of these adventures, is that you feel no judgment walking in nature. Nature doesn't expect anything from you. It doesn't want anything from you, except for you to take care of it. But that's a beautiful thing in a kind of a bitter, sometimes jaded world that we live in. It's nice to just be yourself and be out there and not feel like you're being judged. And nature's inclusive, and it's for everyone. And that's what I find the most peace and comfort in that. But not only that, I've had the great pleasure of meeting more than over 24 like-minded individuals who I like to call my path friends, and a lot of them are here tonight. I run into them almost weekly, and we, you know, chit-chat, and then sometimes I'm like, look, I got 30 minutes, I got to go to softball, so I was like, I got to go. Good seeing you. You know, I'm going to be on my way. Other times, we're talking for 30 minutes, an hour. You know, again, all ages, and that's something that I think is really beautiful, because I've learned so much from them just as much as they've learned a little bit from me. So I love that, and they're kind of my number one fans, and I love that about them. But it's a beautiful feeling. The Riverside Nature Network and the shared spaces that Olmsted intended, it's just a beautiful community of inclusiveness that I feel like it's for everyone. Everyone can do it. Everyone can be a part of it. You know, you don't have to try out for it. You don't have to, you know, be a program manager, whatever. It's for everyone. And I love that. And I truly believe that nature is the ultimate teacher in life, you know, just the bigger picture. You know, do I want to spend my time worrying about, you know, what so-and-so gossips about on the Riverside, Illinois page, or, you know, just drama that I don't want to be a part of. You know, I feel like it's just a place that you can find great, the great teaching in the black and white of, these animals and these creatures. It's just black and white for them. It's all about survival. They don't care, what you're wearing in nature. They don't care what you're doing. Unless you're hunting them or, doing something like that. I always joke to the deer and to all the animals. I'm like, every time I'm like, you better be glad I'm not a hunter, because boom, I get 1 or 2 shots and I'm done. But the opportunities for learning, they're limitless. As much as the pun is, it's like the sky is the limit. So getting out there, you can discover so many things, and you can discover so many things about yourself, and about what you want to invest your time in and your mental energy in, and what you want to teach to other people, and what I want to teach to my kids, or what I want to teach to my high school softball players. Like, that's petty. You don't want to get yourself involved in the petty stuff. So I feel like it's the ultimate therapist, the ultimate teacher in life. But beyond all of it, it's been a true lesson for me in beauty, identity, purpose, and soul. And it's truly helped me see just the grand scheme in our very small and fleeting lives. I feel very small and part of something way bigger when I'm outside. And I really feel like that's what Olmsted wanted people to do, just to get out there, meet new people, and be a part of something bigger than themselves. If you ever get the chance to read Ben Sell's book, this isn't a plug for Ben or anything, this is just my story, but I read his book, and if you ever get a chance to read it, it's called Beauty Matters. Your mind just might open a little bit to get a better understanding of the depth in the beauty that surround us, and how it does trickle into, like I said, relationships, and creating your own boundaries, and just knowing what you want, and being your own therapist, I guess, in its way. And how then it lends to civic lessons, and how, like I said, I have friends of all ages now, and I love it. And we might have difference in opinions, but that's the one thing that molds us together, and that's what we can agree on, and that's where we can start a foundation of friendship and respect, because I feel like that's lost a lot now. Nobody can say anything without, polarizing reactions. You're less reactionary than you would be. You're a little more open, and you're curious. Well, why do you think that way? Or, tell me more. Tell me more. I like to believe that I'm living a micro-sized reality of his macro-sized philosophy, which I wholeheartedly agree that beauty truly matters. It matters. In closing, I'd love to challenge you to do what you love, whether it's birding or, learning the piano, or, just taking risks and things that you love to do. Do it and share it. Share it with other people, because I never knew I needed this, and you never know who might discover their own passion and hobby because of something. Because it's all right. This is just, a trial and error, and I'm okay with it, because this is how I am. Perfectly imperfect. Wait,
Turn on the sound on your computer.
I also just, if you could stay longer, because the highlight reel is coming, and that's what I really worked so hard on. And it'll slow down and then it'll get faster, but I really want you to enjoy it. And I also want you to go out there and share, go out there and explore Riverside's green spaces and have fun with it. You don't have to take any pictures. You don't have to do anything. There's no expectations, just to get out there. And again, without judgment. It's without judgment, which is a beautiful thing in this world. Thank you again for having me. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you outside in a lot of our beautiful shared spaces. So I really appreciate it. I bought this hat to wear on my first bird walk. Again, I said the word nerd, but I mean, look at me. I'm wearing a hat that says I'm with the birds. So I am a nerd, and I love that. I love being a nerd. All right, so let's see if this works. Let's rock and roll, guys. Ready? happened to my music? Oh. It's a little loud. Awesome. I don't know where the song messed up, but thank you. Thank you. Well, bummer about the songs messing up, but there's so much to see here. You just gotta look for it. It's just beautiful. Beautiful here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Thank you.